Yay. All that time. Who you got in the Super Bowl? Yeah. Should be a good game at least.
Not the Seahawks.
Ah. Yeah, I myself am torn. There's two teams that I've always hated. What do you do when two teams that you always hated? You look on the sunny side. Somebody's going to lose. Just like if anybody ever does you wrong, just look on the sunny side. They're going to die. Very rarely is death pleasant. The odds are against them. So it keeps me going. I'm not a very good person. Okay. So we're not going to be going over the readings extensively every day in class like we have been, and we're going to do again today. But I do want to get this kind of first batch of readings well discussed, and so we can move on, because I think basically we're going to start the assignment next Wednesday, next class. But today we're just going to try and get through the readings. So we're going to have to rewind back to. I do want to get through the rest of the mistakes were made, but not by me, because it's important, and it's a sort of grounding for a lot of the other reading that we're going to be doing, and also for your rhetorical analysis. Something I want from your rhetorical analyses is to kind of be looking at what you will learn to call the biases and heuristics that the authors are employing, either deliberately or without themselves knowing. But because a lot of times people argue just to argue against their own cognitive dissonance. So that's why I want you guys to kind of get a palpable working knowledge of this stuff. Does anybody want to kill them? Show of hands. Who would be mad at me if I went up and yelled at them? Who would be happy with me? Who would be upset if I went up and smashed their face in with a chair? Okay. Because we're going to talk about different tolerance for violence in different situations. So back to the tablets. If I recall correctly, we left class talking about we did a blind poll about who thinks that it's a good idea for frats to have elaborate hazing rituals, and some of you said that it was okay, and then sports teams, and a few more of you said it was okay, and then we did military, and a few more of you said it was okay, and then we did gangs, and almost all of you said that it was okay. So we learned a lot about ourselves. That I just want you to know, if I'm ever in a gang, I want you guys in there with me. But only if you do an elaborate ritual to get in. None of this, okay. But, so the point was with that, is with the dissonance thing, and we're moving up to this pyramid of choice thing. So the reason that you want your gang members to have elaborate, difficult rituals is so they'll be more invested in their gang identity. Because if you do something horrible to get in a gang, it's much harder for you to step away from it, because then you would have done something horrible and gone through all that for nothing, and that makes you feel yucky, right? Okay, so the next example that they talk about is that we only listen to information that we already know, and if something goes against what we already know, we try to dismiss it, and if we can find like a legitimate way to do it, that's great. If we can't, but it still works, that's fine. So this shows up on the brain scans. This is a real thing. I know, I've seen it. You put somebody in the fMRI machine, and you have them read like something about how puppies are horrible, and they need to be eliminated, and it's like a coherent argument about how puppies are destroying the world, right? I like puppies. And so this person, they're sitting in the fMRI tube, and you see their anterior cingulate cortex just lighting up, and they're no, this can't be, right? And then you give them something like a refutation of the argument. Oh, so and so's argument that puppies are destroying the world is based on this faulty information, and blah 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 blah. And then they're not only does the anterior cingulate cortex deactivate, but they get the rush of the opioids. And we talked about the opioids, right? Did we? Okay. So what happens when your brain rewards you? This is the way your brain trains you to do things that it likes you to do. It gives you a reward, and this reward, the most palpable feeling of reward is there's lots, but this one is opioids. What does opioids sound like?
Opioids?
Yeah, like opium. So the reason that opium feels so good, I mean I don't know, but I've never done opium or heroin or painkillers, but so heroin does the same thing, and opium and your oxycontin, not oxytocin, oxycontin, Vicodin, codeine. All these things are the reason that they make you feel. You guys probably don't know this because you've never had a hurt back, but if you ever have a hurt back and the doctor gives you pain pills, it sort of can make you feel like kind of fuzzy and a little bit a mild euphoria, right?
I've had hydrocodone.
Yeah, so that fuzzy thing. I'm sort of being facetious. I imagine most people have, but you know that fuzzy feeling, right? And it feels kind of good, right?
Yeah.
Some people freak out and throw up, like my mom. My mom can't do it because she just starts screaming and throwing up. So I really recommend for her not to take the pain pills. But the reason that makes you feel that way is it mimics your brain's natural rewards, which are called opioids. So your brain likes it when you successfully acquire a hamburger, and then you just feel like satisfied, and just that little bit, just like. Not a lot, not like a big bong hit of opium, but you know, like a little quarter tab of Vicodin, you know, just a little bit, just like you did good, buddy. Keep getting those hamburgers. So that's your reward. That's the thing that motivates you. Anytime that you've achieved a goal, the reason that you feel good about yourself is because your brain has rewarded you with just a little bit of opioids. And that's why we keep doing it, right? Okay, because there's nothing like inherently rewarding about anything, right? It's just how it makes you feel. Have you ever accomplished something amazing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel good when you did it?
Yeah.
Then you're rewarded by your brain, because it probably doesn't really matter. What's the amazing thing? May I ask? No. Anybody else want to? I'm gonna tell you something amazing that I did. I've never done anything amazing. I jumped over a car, a moving car, when I was 16. I felt really good about it. Should I have felt good about it objectively? I was just being stupid. It wasn't like I saved my life doing it. But yeah, I felt cool, right? And unfortunately, it was before the days of YouTube, so you just have to take my word for it. But they didn't even have videos recording. I mean, you had those big cameras, and the cell phones were like this big, and you had to carry a backpack. And they were like $30 a minute. It was amazing. And they didn't even work. But that's neither here nor there. But it's just stupid, but it rewarded, so it makes you do things that, you know, have no intrinsic reward, you know, like, so anyway. What a bad, and that was on tape too.
What'd you do? And why'd you do it?
because somebody else did it and it didn't look that hard. And I was like, and I did some calculations, and I was like, well, I have a 32-inch vertical jump. If I bring my legs up and the car's going, you know what, this might just work. And I was your age, and as you guys know, your brains aren't really working. And that's good though, because then you do stuff like you don't see a lot of people my age jumping over cars, and not just because we can't. We wouldn't even if we could. Okay. Confirmation bias. Pleasure centers in your brain. All right. So when you explain things away that bug you, your brain rewards you. The reward centers go off with opioids. So even if you just successfully just think about something else, you know, not only do you not have to worry about what you're not thinking about, but your brain rewards it. It's like, oh, good job not thinking about that thing that bothers you. So this is what happens, and this is what we teachers are fighting against. Your brain rewards you for not taking in new information. Even yours. Like an actual reward, like drugs. Anyway, makes me feel good. And you can see all this. You can see all this in the brain scan. And so remember that when you're trying to convince somebody of something, or trying to convince yourself not of something. You know, like say you know that you have dropped a class and you're going to lose your scholarship, but you really don't want to take that class, right? And so and it's too late to add anything else, and your parents are going to freak out, and you're going to get in big trouble. So what do? You try really hard not to think about it, right? And your brain rewards that. Not only, I mean, that's good. That's what we've evolved to do. We've evolved to be stupid. I think I made my point. And then the next point is that that if we do some kind of stupid decision, like I think the example was buying a Mercedes that you couldn't afford, right? And then you start trying to, their friends bought the Mercedes that he couldn't afford, and in order to convince himself, he's trying to convince everybody else that, you know, so if other people buy a Mercedes, or at least say, no, you did a really smart thing, then you feel better about this. I do this all the time. Like I do something stupid. I mean, not necessarily stupid, but something, you know, like I gambled away my kid's daycare on a prop bet on the NBA Finals last year, and so you know, like my kid can't go to daycare for a month because I spent on a prop bet, and that, you know, like I thought for sure that the Spurs mascot was going to make that dunk, and but then, you know, like, so the first thing I did is called my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I gambled away the daycare money again, but but it was a sure thing, right? I was right to do it, man. It was 100-to-1 payoff. I'd have made $40,000, right? This is completely all false. I didn't gamble away the daycare money. But that's what I would have done, right? So she kind of believed me, and she's known me for a while.
I thought you did.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that. But and I'm sure I'm not going to try and pry examples out of you, but you guys have done questionable stuff and then tried to like talk to your friends and been like, this is cool, right? Like he deserved it, right? Yeah. Like he's hot, right? Sorry. So once again, did you see that the guy was out there? Was he out there when you were out there?
Yes.
Like,
That wasn't Brother Dean, no. That wasn't Brother Dean, no.
No, it's not Brother Dean. But, you know, you just want to, so you want to go up. You want to go up and ask him, why? Just why? Why this? You know, like, and according to dissonance theory, probably what's going on. Well, there's two there's two things. Either he has received direct divine inspiration, and he's trying to save us, or he's not entirely 100% sure that what he's doing with his life is actually legitimate. And probably what he's doing is he's going out trying to convince everybody else in the same way that I was trying to convince my mom that it was okay for me to waste my child's daycare money on a prop bet. That, like, hey, this is right, guys? And so, if he just gets like 5 people to just, yes, I really need to know my Bible better so I can just spurt out a Bible verse. Thou shalt not kill. Yes. And then it's just like, yeah, it's right. This is good. I'm doing it. It's like, me, what am I doing? I'm completely wasting my time. But, one of you will come to my office hours and be like, no, Rick, this changed everything. I'll be like, this is why I do it. This is... I squandered what once was a decent intellect in a public institution, and, but it's worth it because I reached one person. And that person left. It's like, God, fuck for it. Wow. I just totally depressed myself. Okay. Look, a bunny. Ah, there's my opioids. I'm back. All right. So, I don't know if any of you have any of you. You'll see this. You'll see this before you're dead. Out of the 5 people you know right now that are the biggest screw ups, biggest knucklehead, drunk, drug using, party animal, just boneheads. Within 10 years, one of them on the list of 5 will become a born again Christian. And this person will get you and sucker you, and this is how it happened to me. You want to hear how it happened to me? All right, so and I hate this, but I got talked into helping somebody move, and so I had to help this guy move. And worse is that I had to drive with him from Tempe to Seattle in a U-Haul. All right. Don't ask me how I got into this, but I deserved it. But anyway, I didn't want to go with him because he was always a screw up and a knucklehead. I'm like, I'm going to have to drive the whole way because he's going to be drinking, And it's just like, I'm going to come out, we're probably going to get arrested because he's going to be smoking weed the whole way, and I'm just, too old for this. But I got in the car with him. Hadn't seen him in a while. And I start driving. He's suspiciously not drunk. Not high. No stains on his shirt. No stains on his pants. And then I knew it. I just started pulling at the door, but he had put the child lock on. And I was subjected for a drive from Tempe to Seattle of him trying to convert me.
That's the worst.
Just, yeah, oh yeah, he did say that. He did die for our sins.
And if you
Can
don't
I just use the restroom? No, but it's okay. He's a good guy. I'm glad. It's much better than being a drug addict, right? And he could be right for all I know. But there's just, the thing is that what he was trying to do is he kind of made this arbitrary decision. And like, if I validated him, if he would have converted me, then he would have had no doubt that he had taken the right path, right? And I'm for it. I'm glad that he did it. I hope that, I'm never going to talk to him again, but I hope that everything's good for him and all of that. It'll happen. Watch, it'll happen to you. Okay. But this is also why, you can't listen to people's testimonials, right? So if you ask somebody, hey, do you like your car, or, do you like your $200 pair of basketball shoes? Very, very rarely are they going to say, nah, these are crap, man. Just give me some old 1970s Converse All-Stars. They just, no. I mean, they can be complete nonsense shoes. They can slide all over the place, provide no ankle support, like all that. But you spent $200 on them. They are frickin' fly, and I don't know what's the word, right? They'll say, yeah, these are because you don't want to look like an idiot and spend $200 on. They're probably like $500 now, right? They were $200 when I was $500 shoes. Does anybody own $500 shoes? Okay, so $500 shoes. You're gonna say good things about the $500 shoes. Juice Plus. Does anybody have anybody in their life that does Juice Plus? Juice Plus. Okay, well that's another thing. So people get really they invest in things and then they really advocate them. So you know, like when you're watching the infomercials, you know, like don't trust testimonials because people are lying to themselves. They're not lying to you. They're lying to themselves. They're trying to make themselves feel better about being idiots. Okay. Then the other thing, why venting does not work. Does anybody think that venting works? No, honestly, come on. You go out and like you get really mad and go hit the heavy bag for 20 minutes and feel better, right? What they used to do when I was a kid, this really happened. I was in 5th grade, and I had this guy I hated named Lincoln Farabee. I hope you're watching, Lincoln Farabee. He was about, I was a really small kid. I was, you know, until 9th grade, I was always, you know, at least 6 inches shorter, you know, and I think we probably had 15, 20 pounds on me, which is big when you're in 5th grade. And we would just always get in fights. And we just hated each other, and we'd snark off in class. So we got sent to the counselor's office, and this is what the counselor did. You'll envy me. Gave us some big padded bats, and we just wailed on each other. And this was like a legitimate thing to do. But I'm going to tell you right now, it didn't vent anything. I hated him more and more. Why? Because he beat me. It's one thing to get beat up, but to get beat with a padded bat is in some entirely new level, and I still haven't forgiven him. And if I see him right now, I'll launch at him. Like, right, if he walked in right now, I will lose my job because I hate him that much still. That's not true. I couldn't even remember the guy's name. I had to think of the only guy that I remembered who was actually my friend in 5th grade. But I think I made my point. Okay, so remember, venting doesn't work. And this is the one that I love. This is one of those things I just want you to just maybe you're not going to learn anything from me, but remember this. That you guys have already heard this, but there's this anthropologist named Marcel Mauss. And he made one of the most important discoveries in the known universe, and that is that giving gifts is a form of aggression. All right. So this ties to the Tavris and the idea that if you want somebody to like you, you get them to do you a favor, and that makes them like you more, right? That kind of makes sense, right? I know it happens to me. But anyway, the reason this works is because doing a favor or giving a gift is an act of aggression. All right. You believe me. You kind of believe me because you've heard my spiel. But I'm gonna convince the rest of you completely. All right. So, ladies, you know that guy that likes you? That you don't dislike, right? And you talk to him, and he's nice, right? And but every once in a while, you know, something happens to him. I don't know. Maybe he was drinking. Maybe he's not getting enough sleep. But he confesses his eternal and dying love for you, right? And it's kind of awkward, right? You know this guy. You remember this guy. He's pretty much innocuous. And then, you know, you're just like, oh guy. Just no, I like you as a friend, you know, like blah, 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 right? And that's cool. All right, so picture this guy. He takes the summer off. Works all summer, 10-hour days, 6 days a week at a landscaping job. Saves every dime. Buys you a car with the money, and then tries to give it to you. In the back. Do you take it?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Why?
Because I'm guilty about it.
Why?
I don't like him.
He just wants to give you a car.
It's always more
There's
than
never
a
this.
car.
Yeah.
Ha-ha! So if you take it,
You're not going to take it.
you're
Unless
screwed.
you're a go-getter.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to be. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm taking the car.
Or you better be willing
I'm gonna
to
take
do
the car,
something.
and because the gift is actually an act of aggression, right? So if I'm in the mafia, let's go back to gangland, right? Because it's the only thing that's important.
How is that a form of aggression?
Well, you're trying to subdue the girl. You're trying to get her to submit to your advances. You're using the car in the same way that a caveman used a club. It's like bang, bopped on the head. Now you're mine. All right, just think about your like crazy aunt that like does like a big homemade, spent 3 months knitting some hat sock thing that goes down your back and around, and she gives it to you and you're like, oh crap. Because yeah.
I have a question. So say like hypothetically like there's like a married couple and like the
Mhm.
wife's like, oh honey, could you go get me like could you go pick up the groceries like on the way home from work?
Uh-huh.
So he goes and picks them up, right? Like the wife's maybe not trying. The wife didn't tell him to go pick up the groceries to go like get in bed later with the husband, and hypothetically have sex. You know what I mean? Like that's not an act of aggression. Just got groceries. You know what I mean?
Okay, I mean and I'm not saying that we shouldn't help each other along through life in a married couple, and I'm not going to be the one that advocates that every act of kindness in a marriage is a form of prostitution. That's not.
But if you did
I'm
something
not.
wrong, you gotta make up for it.
But I mean, there's a little tit for tat, right? If my wife calls me and get groceries, that's fine, that's fine. But she starts making a habit out of it and doesn't go get the groceries ever, hi, honey. And I'm just and I'm always getting the groceries. Then yeah, every time I get the groceries, I get pisser and pisser, right? I mean, more and more angry. But no, I'm not saying that you should never do anything nice and like gifts for loved ones and stuff. I mean, it's as long as it's reciprocal. I mean, if you pretty much, this is why it's important to kind of like gauge the person that you're swapping gifts with and try and do like an equal value thing. Because if I exchange gifts with you, and like I give you a fat gold chain, right, and then you give me a Pez dispenser, right? We're gonna have a problem in our relationship, right?
Not if you like Pez dispensers, but if you collect them.
I just really want a fat gold chain.
You should have never gave it to me then.
I know, but there's an act of aggression. But I'm in the mafia. There's a restaurant, and I want in on this restaurant. So I know that it's a good restaurant, but they're struggling a little bit. And what they could really use is $100,000 to redo the kitchen and make and get a maitre d' that's not actually walking with heroin needles hanging out of his arm, right? So I'm in the mafia. I'm like, hey, I noticed that your maitre d' not quite up to the highest expectations. I got a proposition. So if you take the money, what's going to happen?
You owe them.
Yeah, right? It's an act of aggression. You feeling me at all on this?
I get you.
All right. Any more questions about that? Okay. Do you believe me now? It's an obligation. It's a note saying you owe me at least this. So Marcel Mauss, he developed he got the idea from these things called potlatches that in the now what's now the northwestern United States. There were Native American tribes there that were pretty hostile to each other. But when they weren't going to war, and often they were not, they would invite each other to parties, and it was like who could throw like the biggest, craziest party and give the most gifts, and that's who would have the most prestige. And so you would just go and try and give other people's gifts and gift them into submission. And then, but the ultimate thing that you could do was get all of your good stuff, like all this awesome stuff, and just put it in a big pile and light it on fire and be like, what? It's like, see, I don't need this crap, man. I get more. What? I'll blow it all. Make it rain. I try really hard to connect. Somebody said I wasn't connecting with the youth, so I'm trying really hard to connect with the youth. Yeah. Is that right? Make it rain? Is that when you
Sound
throw
like a,
money?
like, rapper, make it rain.
That's what I was trying. I was trying to be hip, man. Hip's not the word, is it?
No, that's like, I don't know how.
Well, you know. So anywho, the next thing, the next thing that we have, the other fascinating thing that I wanted to discuss is people that because dissonance is so strong, dissonance can trump like just feeling good and success. So like some people, like I guess they were like abused as kids or whatever, and they just always felt like a screw up. Their dad told them they were a screw up. Their mom said they were a screw up. The first grade teacher called them a screw up. They were always screwing up, screw up, screw up, screw up, screw up, screw up, and they somehow managed to get through life. And like they could be like they could be like real pretty or whatever, and or like really smart or whatever, right? But anything good that happens to them, like sends them for a loop. Like they get really upset, like if they succeed at something, or if they like, you know, like this, like the girl that keeps getting dumped by you know, just keeps dating all these people that treat her like crap and keeps getting dumped and dumped and dumped. Finally meets a guy that, and there's nothing wrong with him. It's not even like he's a nice guy. He's just a really good guy, you know. And she just, you know, screws it up because she just naturally thinks that she's a screw up, and it's actually harder for her to have happiness because she thinks of herself as a screw up. So she'd rather not be happy in order to keep her sort of self picture stable. I call it the principle of cholestromic irreversibility. Sorry, you guys. That's what you get for taking my class again. I'll tell you why I call it the principle of cholestromic irreversibility. You guys know what a colostomy is? Tell me what a colostomy is.
It's, literally, your intestines are moved out and you have to,
Your colon is removed and you
Yeah.
have to poop in a bag.
yeah, the colostomy bag.
Yeah. And it's not something that you want. It's not like a common, like the Kardashians aren't going and getting colostomies to be on the cutting edge of things. It's an unpleasant thing. But an interesting thing about it is sometimes there's a potential that they can be reversed. So sometimes you have a colostomy and then like a year later you can get it reversed and then you don't need a bag again. So what they did is they got all these patients that got colostomies, and half of them had no chance of getting it reversed, and half of them had the possibility of maybe getting it reversed, right? So 6 months into their study, who do you think was happier? Back red, Arizona hoodie. Who's happier?
Wait, what was that? You said it
Okay, somebody else. Who's happier?
The people that had the choice of reversing it.
No, they were wrecks. They were underweight. They were scored very low on happiness indicators. They were really stressed out. Their health was suffering.
So they have to like focus and try harder, opposed to people who know that it's.
Because it's the uncertainty. I mean, if it's, you know, like if you have a colostomy and like this is life, you adjust and you move on. But like that torture of I don't know, is just too much. It's too much. Too much to handle. So yeah, and that's so it just ties to that. So you want stability, and you'll take like a bad thing, and it's much easier just to, you know, like keep getting treated like trash than to have a happy relationship. Okay, so this all comes up to the point of the mistakes were made argument is this idea of they call a pyramid of choice. Has anyone seen What About Bob? You guys should see What About Bob. All right, everybody loves Bill Murray, right?
Yeah.
Right, Bill Murray. I mean, come on, Bill Murray's cool. All right, but the pyramid of choice, and so if you did mistakes were made on your CTK, and you didn't talk about the pyramid of choice, then probably I said that you missed at least an important point in your summary. right? Because that's what they were all going toward. Can anyone tell me what the pyramid of choice was? Okay, the pyramid of choice is the idea that once you make a decision, that you're going to keep going down that path because you have to justify yourself. So you'll keep going, you'll keep going, you'll keep going. So say I'm a college freshman, and oh, look at me, I'm a college freshman, and then I'm at a party, and then somebody's like, hey man, hey come here, you want to be cool? Take a puff of this. I have a decision to make, right? So it's either I'm going to stay on the up and up, and I'm going to be a legal person, or I'm going to take one puff off this thing that's offered to me, and see where that leads me. So I take the one puff, and what happens inevitably, as you all know, within 3 days, I'm laying in a gutter with needles hanging out of my arms. With crack resin smeared all on this cheek. and I've been prostituting myself, and my family's left me, and I've got gangrene on my left foot, right?
In 3 days.
Yeah, because once you take the step, you have to justify. It's like, well, I've got to justify that one little puff. I better do some crack.
So, you just a gateway drug?
Yeah, this is interesting. Who thinks marijuana is a gateway drug? Who thinks that it's not? Interesting. I think it's subjective.
If you're a huge pothead, you're more likely going to try it.
Yeah, but if the moral milieu that you're coming from is that drugs are horrible, all drugs are horrible, and marijuana is one of those drugs, then for that person taking marijuana, it's like, hey, everybody said marijuana would kill me, and I took a puff, and I'm not dead. So maybe that means that they were lying about crack and everything too. So you're still, it's the pyramid. But, and I think this is probably more what's going on now with all of the medical marijuana. My grandma takes medical marijuana. So what happens is it's sort of being it's not, people are drawing the line elsewhere, right? It's like a petty vice. It's like putting a number 6 plastic bag in the recycle bin, right? It's not recyclable. It's wrong, but it's not that wrong, right? I mean, no, you're not. But for somebody who lumps everything together like that, I think it could be. But for somebody that's not, like crack would be the gateway drug, right?
That's just like, if you do crack, you probably won't come back.
Well, huffing, right? That's my, like there's people that, like, I mean, you can be mayor of Toronto and do crack, but like you notice with huffing, that there's nobody that, like, I think huffing is the point of no return. That's just mine. Oh yeah, being recorded. Okay. That's the pyramid of choice though. Do you guys want to hear about my big pyramid of choice thing when I was a kid?
Yeah.
So I used to live with a bunch of unemployed people. Sorry, it's not the stripper story. The fascinating thing about it is I was going to school full-time and had a full-time job. I lived with, there was 4 of us in the apartment, and I was the only one that either had a job or was going to school. Of my illustrious roommates was a gentleman that I will call Marlon because his name was Marlon. And he was allegedly once on the football team of the community college that I was attending. And but he had, for reasons known only to him, was no longer on the football team. I've got a lot of, you should ask me good stories about Marlon, there's a lot of them. But allegedly, he had a favorite uncle who owned 3, count them 3, resorts in Aruba. Does anyone know where Aruba is? Do anyone know what Aruba is?
It's an island.
It's an island with resorts on it. In the Caribbean, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice island. This uncle had died and bequeathed Mr. Marlon $36.2 million. This came in a letter, which he showed everyone at a party in my apartment. So Marlon started promising all of his friends and would-be friends and people on the street, cars, houses, fat gold chains, you name it. So after about 3 days of this, I said, Marlon, you've already spent your $30 million. Stop. Just stop. Cut them off. What you need to start doing now is cutting people off, not bringing people in, cutting people off. I know what it's like to be a multimillionaire. He's like, wow, you're right, man. Hey, will you be my manager? What do you think I said? Yeah.
Money.
Yeah. Sure, I'm looking at, you got little dollar signs in my eyes, right? So I quit my job. This is in the 90s. It wasn't that good of a job. It was at the CD store. It's okay. Went out, got me a cell phone. Big thing in the 90s. Like literally a big thing. $30 a minute, if it worked. And we just had this letter. And there was some sort of problem, something vague. He couldn't actually get the money right away because some legal things to go with. So we didn't really have any money. But we went to the, remember this is the 90s, we went to the Hummer dealership, right? And we got, and this is no H2, no H3, none of this crap. This is the old ones, the military ones that you can drive underwater, right? And we got a custom-made, convertible sound system. I think it was about $300,000. Off the strength of this letter, we get that custom-made. It took them about 3 weeks to put together. So we're rolling around in this Hummer. The strength of this letter. How much money do we have? None. But for some reason, people are giving us money because we've got this letter. It's like, oh yeah, we'll get you back, man. We just got a couple of things. Now at this point, you think that maybe somebody should start being, somebody at some point. But it was just like this whirlwind. Next thing you know, he gets a house off the strength of this letter. We have a lawyer. And after about 6 months of this, haven't seen, and my bank account's cleaned out. That I can tell you. I'm sitting here with our supposed lawyer. Well, he was a lawyer. And we're like, what's going on with this money? I'm like, you're supposed to be tracking this down, the gravy train's coming to an end here, right? He's like, yeah, I've tried calling a couple of these people. And I got to tell you, there's plausible routes going places, but I've never actually, found any actual evidence that any of this is real. And so this is me going off the thing, right? And I knew, probably right from the jump, that this was not on the up and up. But my excuse was that, and I still maintain to this day, Marlon was too stupid to be able to pull off something like that. But you see how you go off the thing, and then you quit your job. And then once I'd quit my job and really got invested in this, it was either I was going to look like a complete idiot, right, or I was going to be a millionaire. Incidentally, we do have a contract. If he ever gets that money, I'm entitled, just no matter what else, 1.6 of it. So, fingers crossed. So anyway, that's the pyramid. So you got to be careful of these things. And I'm not just saying that because you might say, oh yeah, Crumbo's an idiot. Crumbo is an idiot, but so is the Hummer dealer is a way bigger idiot. The guy that gave him a house, I only had like $1,200 into it, right? And people lost thousands, tens of thousands of dollars on this guy. So, all right, that's the pyramid of choice. I think something might happen to this particular something unfortunate might happen to this recording. I don't know what happened. It just erased. Just kidding. It's not bad, right? All right. So pyramid of choice is where it is. All right. So let's get through the nudge quick. What time are we out of here? 45. Okay, we have plenty of time. All right. So the nudge thing. What's a choice architect? Anyone? It's fun doing eye contact. I think eye contact is a form of a gift. Makes dogs charge you. Why do dogs think that they can take you, especially Chihuahuas? Sometimes they charge dogs and just get eaten. It's sad, but it's just like choice architect. Just nudge. It's kind of the whole point. You guys read it, right? You want to guess? What's an architect? Yeah, design stuff, right?
Yeah.
What's a choice?
What you choose to do.
Yeah. So if I'm a choice architect, what am I
How
doing?
building how you make your choices.
Thank you. People who build how they make how other people make choices. Has anyone here ever had a job? What's your job?
I don't have it in there, I was a barista.
All right. So that's a choice architect, kind of, right? I mean, maybe not. You're not doing the designing, but you're implementing it, right? You're channeling choices, right? So to try and it's little things that you can do, like knowing better. So if somebody doesn't really know what they're doing and they're ordering something, you kind of like guide them and like kind of give them default options, right? And you know, like I don't know, like, oh no, you don't want hot sauce in your latte, you know, or something like that, right? So I was just my benefits here do not include family things. So my family is on the Obamacare thing, right? And so I was signing up for Obamacare, and it's much better this year than it was last year, incidentally, in case anyone's wondering. But what happens is you put in your stuff, and then they give you 150 different health plans. And if you are not, which I am not, or was not at least, literate in the nuances of health plans. Are you literate in the nuances of health plans? Like if somebody gave you 150 health plans to choose from, what would you do?
Pick one of those random.
Yeah, right. But then it's just like, well, then you can't. And then the wife starts yelling at you, and you're like, oh, okay. And so finally, I wasted 3 days of my life looking through freaking health plans, and I finally figured it out. And I'm just like, all right, why couldn't somebody have who knows about health plans, that's on the other end of this, like why couldn't there just have been somebody that you put in these things and they give you, 3 choices, right? Because they know what they're doing. You can see what my income is. You can see that I'm in abject poverty. You can see that, this is where we're at. Okay, so here are your 3 choices. If you want the other choices, go ahead, have fun. But this is what we think. And that would make my life a lot easier. And I would have spent 3 or 4 minutes deliberating instead of 3 days, right? So that was a place where I could use a choice architect. So that would have been an important job if the job existed. I'm told that they're implementing something like that. I've been assured that next year, hopefully I won't need it next year, but I'm assured that next year it'll be an easier thing. So if any of you need to sign up for Obamacare next year, expect an easier thing. All right, so that hypothetical job that wasn't done is a choice engineer. Or choice architect, sorry. And then, but their premise is that is like that, is that we're all kind of lazy and we don't really want to have to learn about stuff that we don't, which is what we learned from the Tavris, right? And we don't want to have to learn about stuff. Learning actually hurts. It actually hurts. It actually physically hurts your brain. It hurts. This is a shock to you, right? You look shocked. You look floored. Right. Okay. So they're just taking that for granted, and we're stupid, and we're self-justifying, and we're easily manipulable. But here's what we do with that, right? And so their thing is this libertarian paternalism thing. Can somebody tell me what libertarian paternalism is? Yeah.
It's the idea that like you're gonna help somebody make a suggestion, like you're gonna let them do what they want, but at the same time you're just gonna like kind of advise them. Is the whole food thing that we're talking about.
Right. Yeah, the food thing. So a libertarian is, as you all know, one of these crazy guys that like tries to declare themselves sovereign, and their sort of moral guidance thing is that nobody gets in my way. I get to do whatever I want. My liberty is, as long as I'm not hurting anyone else directly, anything I do is cool, right? So libertarians are they're pro-prostitute, they're pro-gun, they're anti any law besides, basically if you don't shoot somebody in the face, leave me alone, right? Sounds like a good idea, right? Yeah, why not? But so that's libertarians. I think Ron Paul was sort of a libertarian. But their thing is so they kind of combine the craziest parts of being a liberal and the craziest parts of being a conservative and putting it into one big bowl of yumminess. Okay. I'm sorry if I'm offending any libertarians. Any libertarians? Okay. You don't want to make these guys mad. So this is the choice, right? So they're advocating. So you give all the choices. You give the 150 different health plans. So that's the libertarian part of it. And then paternalism. So what's paternal? Not just parents, but father. Yeah, fatherly. So it's you want to be a good father to the libertarian. Like the good, like, and just here, this way. I know, I've learned. Everyone listens to their father, right? Yeah, it's good. So it's a combination of complete wackiness and because a person that designs health plans knows more about health plans than me because they've spent their lives designing health plans. So they do have more expertise than me. So they should sort of help me out, right? Okay, that's libertarian paternalism. Who's all business? Anybody in Econ 101?
I took it.
Okay. Do you know about the Homo economicus and all that?
I don't think she went over that last semester.
All right. Yeah, well, it's the idea that that what guides classical economics is the idea that all human behavior is to maximize self-interest.
Oh, marginal thinking. She told us it's like whatever is better for you, you're going to do opposed to your second choice.
Yeah. That's
Or opportunity cost.
right. And that and yeah, exactly. So what he calls the econs is as if it's these mathematical abstractions that they teach in economics class that people always act in their own best interests, and they will eventually, and that's the logic of the market. Now what's really remarkable about it is that it works really well in describing like whole populations and like the big economic picture. And it's really kind of astounding if you think about it, because everybody is, and this is their point, is kind of an idiot. And we're always working against our own best interests, and we're voting against our own best interest, and we're not taking enough time to pick the right health plans, and we're screwing everything up, but it somehow works, which is a different thing. But, so that's what that's the econ they talk about, and then they talk about the human. And then, so the overall point is the ethics, and I guess we should just go on to the Schirmer so we can get through it. If we can get through the Schirmer, then we won't have to talk about any of the reading next class. Then we can do something fun, like throw stuff. Okay. What am I forgetting? Who cares? All right, so Schirmer is what we read, right? Right. Anybody going to do their CTK on Schirmer? Yeah, it's kind of a, yeah. There's a reason why I picked it. I full disclosure, I actually really don't like Schirmer the person, but well, for a reason. Anyway, I wanted to talk about this a little bit. So what he's doing is he's a libertarian, and he's kind of and this is why I don't recommend doing your CTK on him, because his argument jumps around, and like the point that he actually makes well, I think, has nothing to do with the point that he's trying to make. So yeah, don't do the CTK on it if possible. But his thing is that in public universities and private universities, just not like Bob Jones, there is a disproportionate number of self-identified liberal professors to self-identified conservative professors, right? And I think overall it came to like 8-1, but it was like 31 to none in my demographic, and that's fine. But the interesting thing is that so when you have that many people, and like the social scientists and social psychologists start treating conservatism as if it were a pathology and like a form of being crazy, right? So like if yeah, so they actually have studies that try to show that being conservative is a form of being crazy, and then with the implied thing, and you'll run into this. I don't know if any of you are conservative and sort of have felt this, especially in the humanities, but kind of what the humanities is trying to teach you overall is to be more liberal. And hey, I don't know. It might be okay. But so Shermer's pointing this out, and he's like, well, maybe conservatives aren't actually crazy. And conservatives don't actually think that they're crazy. Well, some of them do. Anybody that's conservative and thinks that they're crazy? Okay. But what do they say? They say the liberal diagnosis. Yeah, cancer of conservatism, and then conservatives don't really like liberals either, right? It's the bonobo and the chimp thing, right? I mean, really. And so he's going in and discussing kind of the fundamental differences. The reason I want to keep going back to these fundamental differences as a liberal or conservative stuff is because I want you to avoid just getting in your controversy analysis, just getting into liberal conservative controversies to analyze, because there's really nowhere to go with it. And you can kind of, if you go through it this way, that's kind of an interesting way, and you can actually sort of approach things in a different way. But so his, you need to go, right? Yeah, you're good. I'll stop for a moment, gather my thoughts. Yeah, you too. So for people that so there's hate, and we're going to be reading Hate's article later. He has five psychological systems, and it's actually he's expanded it to 6 since then. But the idea is that because we already know from our other reading that we have feelings first and preconceptions first, and then our explanation comes after that, right? So we already think this, and what we're going to use for evidence is we're going to be picking evidence out that we've already made our decision, right? Like you meet a guy at a club, and you just say hello, you just look at each other, and you've already made your decision, right? And he's objectively he's a complete asshat. He's drunk. He's drooling on himself. There's vomit on his shoes. His hand looks like that it has a venereal disease, but he's cute. So what you're going to do is you're going to look past all of this. You're going to be like, you know what? He's got really nice buttons. You don't see eyebrows like that very often, because you've already made your decision, and you're going to marshal your evidence in what you've already decided, right? And once again, you're dating a moron, but that's your problem. But when trying to, so you've got to know that this is how we're working. And so the decisions that according to Haidt and Shermer, that liberals have already made is out of the 5 systems, there are 2 really important ones. And one is the harm, who he calls the harm care system. And so this is kindness, gentleness, and nurturance, he says. So this is really important to liberals, because liberals, so we don't like, if we're liberals, we don't like people getting bullied, right? We want everyone to have completely equal rights, like no matter what, right? So like if I want to marry a toaster, I get to marry a toaster, right? Okay. And what else? What's another like liberal thing? This is a thing that there's a movement to get personhood granted to chimpanzees, because everybody's I'm actually for the chimpanzee thing. I like chimpanzees. I don't know if you've noticed this. Have you noticed this thing? I keep talking about chimpanzees. I like monkeys. They're interesting. All right, but digression. What was I talking about? Okay, yeah. So like the bonobo thing, we're all like egalitarian. And then the other thing is the fairness and reciprocity. So harm care being the same system is interesting. Is that a digression? No, I've got to explain the harm care system. So the harm care, what he calls the harm care system is the nurturing system, what affective neuroscience would call the care system, is the thing why we're not like all killing each other. Does anyone like think that it's kind of weird that like we don't just automatically hate everyone? Why would we not just hate everyone? Like guys, you're in a room full of potential sexual rivals. Why don't you just hate everyone? It's weird. Same thing with y'all ladies. Why don't you hate each other? Why don't you hate us? Maybe you do. I don't know. But that everybody doesn't hate everybody all the time is a weird thing. We've got this built-in system. It's called the care system, and it's dominant in humans. It's dominant neurochemical is called oxytocin. Has anyone ever heard of oxytocin besides the people that have heard this already? All right, oxytocin is sometimes called the cuddle hormone, the love hormone, the hug hormone. It's a thing in New York. Anybody from New York? All right, in the city, Long Island, no, Manhattan. That's the city, right? Yeah. Okay. There's a new thing that's starting. Tell me if you guys are in on this. They're called cuddle parties, and the idea is that you get a bunch of people together and you like sign this thing saying it only goes so far, and like everybody's anonymous, and you just go and like cuddle with a bunch of people. So the idea with this is they're also called oxytocin parties because cuddling makes your levels of oxytocin rise, and oxytocin is a good feeling. It comes into this world with the mother-infant bond. So you ever heard a woman say, "Pretend I'm a girl," and I'm like talking to a grown woman. I'm like, I really don't want to have a baby because I think babies are ugly, and I'm afraid that if I have a baby, I'm going to pick it up and think, oh my God, this thing looks like a microwave raisin. and then the woman says, oh no, this magic happens. You pick up the baby and you just look in its little eyes, and that's oxytocin. It's this little like bubbly feeling. It's the cuddle feeling. So like So like when your mom held you in her arms, it flooded you with oxytocin. If you cuddle with a big teddy bear, that's oxytocin. Puppies' faces are really
So like some people are just like a lot nicer than others, and some people are like a little bit more mean-spirited. You know what I mean? So just some people have more oxy.
Well, I mean the system gets conditioned differently depending on a number of factors. How you were raised, how your mother was raised, how your grandmother was raised, because it's an epigenetic thing. But so people have different oxytocin systems. So some people are more motivated by it than others. There's the vole thing, which I don't have time to talk about. But anywho, so it's anything cuddle, and so like puppies are cute because they big eyes and stuff, and they're probably designed this way. Like babies too. Why we think these things are cute is because it stimulates our oxytocin system. So it's apparently a good feeling. And so like when you like go to a wedding, like if you're into love stories at the end, when the love story gets consummated, you get a little oxytocin. It's that fuzzy feeling. You guys know what I'm talking about? Okay. I think it's more important for women than it is for men overall, but it's important for everyone. I just had to say that because I don't want anybody to know that I think puppies are cuddly. Because then, there goes my credibility. Yeah.
But chimps are.
Huh?
But chimps are cuddly.
Really? I think objectively speaking, like newborn humans are the only things that I don't think are cute. Like I think baby lizards are cute. But I don't think baby babies are cute.
So when you seen your kids, what did you say?
But the interesting thing about oxytocin is that so its role is expanded to to group settings, right? So when you're with all your frat brothers and you're like singing and drunk, you get that kind of feeling too. It doesn't mean you're gay. It's okay. And if you are gay, that's okay too. But it's an in-group bonding thing. And you're just like, you know, man, you know what, man, you're all right, man. You know that, man. That's oxytocin, and other things, but oxytocin's there too, right? It's that the bond thing. But the funny thing about it is that at the same time that it's making the bond closer to your in-group, whatever your in-group is, it's making you hate other people more. So here's the thing. All right, so picture a cuddly little puppy on the side of the street. Oh, what a cute little puppy, you think. And then some kid comes by and kicks it. It's an ugly kid too.
Better push him.
Yeah. So and there's nobody around. And so there's an ugly kid anywhere. So needless to say, if you saw an ugly kid on the street and nobody's around, you're gonna go shove him into a bush, right?
Yeah.
Come on, we're all humans, right? But so you've made eye contact with the puppy. You're like, puppy, and then he kicks the puppy. It's on, right?
Yeah. You beat the crap out of
Yeah.
it.
Because and this is the oxytocin thing. Because you bonded so much to this, it also makes you hate the other even more. So that's why they call the same system the care-harm system, because the same thing that makes you care for your in-group also makes you hate your out-group more. And this makes sense, right? Like, I don't know if any of you know about like the Little People's Liberation Movement. They build a whole little city just for little people.
Really? Where?
I don't know, but you can look it up. But the not little people who live next to them complain that they start getting mad. Because the more that you like your little people, the more that those, what's a good slur for not little people? Yeah. Table toppers? I'll call them table toppers. Those freaking table toppers with their giant stairs and they're not cars without big pile of phone books. So, but the more you like identify with the little people, the more you hate the big people, right? And this is all the. I can't believe I did it again. Okay. So then, fairness and reciprocity is the other system that the liberals like. So we all think that like we like things to be fair, right? Like if I'm handing out cookies and I give her a big nice giant chocolate chip one, and I give you a freaking little curled up burnt cherub thing, right? And you're like, what, right?
I'd be so upset.
Yeah, because it's not fair.
Well, as long as you're getting a good part of it, it doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, but your overall sense of fairness, you have to say afterwards, like, yeah, you know what? If you're friends, you're like, you know what? That's messed up. It's messed up that you got that little burnt carrot chip thing, right? And like, I mean, this is a hardwired thing. This is innate. Like if you have two monkeys that don't like each other, they'll do a task for a cucumber, which they kind of like, and they'll do it, and they're like, oh, a cucumber's a good reward. But if they see the monkey they don't like doing the same task for a grape, they won't do it. They won't even eat the stupid cucumber. I want a grape, MFer. So it's a hardwired thing. So we don't like, I mean, in little kids, I mean, as soon as kids can talk, they know when they're getting screwed over. Before, trust me, they know that they're getting screwed over. Dogs know when they're getting screwed over, and they don't like it. And then this also ties into the reciprocity thing and the gift thing and everything again, though, right? So it's the reciprocity is the cliche of you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, right? So if I'm going around scratching each of yours back, then you have to scratch my back too, and then we build bonds that way because I'm being aggressive to you and you're being aggressive to me, and it's equal. So that's okay. But it's also the eye for an eye thing, right? And it's the same system. So like if you punch me, I punch you, the justice idea that keeps popping up from time to time that somebody in my other class proposed that all crimes should be punished. And this actually, people have tried this. So like if you murder somebody, you should get murdered, right? If you rape somebody, you should get raped. If you steal from somebody, you should have all your stuff stolen. if you smoke weed, you should.
Okay.
All right. Well, so it's like. So I guess that's why we conservatives have those two. It's important for conservatives too, but not as important. And conservatives also have a higher value of in-group loyalty, right? So this is why, like a conservative, middle-aged white Kansas gentleman probably is not going to be too fond of ISIS, right? Or IS, depending on which news outlet that you have, right?
Obama calls it ISIL for some reason.
Yeah, there's well, they're IS on Al Jazeera. They're ISIS on BBC. I don't know. Something with an I and an S. But conservatives are more into that, and conservatives also are more prone to respect authority figures. Apparently, so I don't really understand, and I'm not entirely convinced. But this is the argument, and so like if I'm conservative, like I'm going to get like more upset at kind of somebody burns a flag. If I'm conservative, this really upsets me. If I'm liberal, I'm like, it's a flag, dude, whatever. Express yourself, man, right? And then to the same thing, the purity sanctity thing is here's a good test of the purity sanctity thing. So this knows that no matter how you vote, whether you are in your heart and soul a liberal or a conservative, right? Maybe this was in there, maybe not. I don't remember. A guy buys a dead chicken from a market. All right, a guy copulates with the chicken. It's dead. And then cooks it and eats it. Who thinks there's a problem with this?
He's psycho.
He's psycho, but who thinks he's a problem?
Did you say he populates with it?
Copulates.
Oh, okay.
Or populates. So, ew, right? Who thinks that he should be punished?
He should just go get help.
Who thinks that he should be punished, though?
Like, did he make people watch him?
No.
Well, if he did it, his own.
So you
Like
are
little kids.
in your heart and soul, you're in your heart and soul in that way, no matter how you vote, a liberal, because you're like, hey man, nobody got hurt. Like it's, he needs some therapy. He's obviously got some issues. But if you're like, you know what, this happened, like the human body is a sacred thing, and what you don't do is copulate with dead chickens and then eat it. No, it's wrong. Then that means you are in your heart and soul conservative, however you vote. We're out of time. See you Wednesday.
Do you know about in New Zealand, they recognize,